Hello, and welcome to Ideas with Diana on this January 12th, 2021. What I'd like to do is for today's show is devote a special topic to bullying on campus and off campus, as well as in high school and elementary school. For today, we have a special guest. Let me just get everything prepared here. Just a minute. Just give me a chance here to get this going here. And our special guest is Snowflake. She is a junior at a local community college, a local university, and basically some of the students have immediately named her Snowflake Princess, and that's not her real name. Her real name is Linda. So Linda, would you like to tell us about what's been going on? Well, I try to speak out in class, but I'm always shut down. People talk above me. People say I'm a Republican. People say I shouldn't read these fake news things. Well, Linda, when I went to college, we were encouraged to read everything. I read the Progressive. I read the Chicago Tribune, Milwaukee Journal, Wall Street Journal. One time when I was reading the Tribune, I was reminded I was reading the Colonel's paper, a reference to the conservative viewpoint of the Chicago Tribune at that time. Well, I'm really afraid to say this, but basically, I do too. I read the Tribune too, but I'm afraid if my professors catch me, I'll be knocked down a grade and I'll lose my scholarship. Well, you shouldn't be. Part of the university is speaking up. And why do you feel the professors are going to do this? Well, it seems like all of them basically vote for one party candidate. They all like this one candidate. Well, you voted, didn't you? Yes. Well, speak up. Come on. No one's listening. No one's overseeing. Well, at my campus, they have people that sort of spy on the students and tell about what we're doing. Well, no one's listening here. So go ahead, tell me what is it? Well, I actually voted Republican and I voted for Trump, but at home I voted for Democrats for Senate and for state assembly, but president I voted for Trump. Well, that's okay. You have a right to vote for Trump. Many people did. Well, I was told that basically that anyone who voted for Trump is against freedom and for these people that did these terrible things in Washington. No, just because you voted for Trump doesn't mean that you're an insurrectionist. You didn't go out and break any windows. You didn't go and destroy anything. You stood home. You saw it on the TV. So that you didn't do anything. Well, really? Well, I was told that this is that basically voting not for the other party that basically I was part of the problem. No, you're not part of the problem. No, let me introduce you to someone who can help you understand this a little bit better. Well, this is my friend. Is that Professor Yellowsnow? Yes, that is. Oh, hi. Nice to meet you, Linda. Hi. Well, I'm really not supposed to be talking to you. We've been told on campus that you're one of those Republican professors. Well, yes, I am. I'm guilty as charged. I've read some of the books that you guys have been told not to read on campus. I read Anne Rand, The Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged, as well as Catcher in the Rye, which they say is okay to read on campus. But also I read the Washington Inquirer, National Review, and others. Well, What, are you still teaching? Well, yes, I am, but I actually am teaching at an online college, which is actually considered a purple school. Well, what's a purple school? Well, a purple school is basically, it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, liberal, conservative. Everyone's there to learn, and it's like when I went to college. How do you address your professors? Well, all our professors try to make off that they want to be friends with us. So, but they always say, we always have to say Dr. Stan, Dr. Mark, Dr. Sarah. Well, when I went to school, all my professors, we went by first names: Beecham, Dave, Tim, Morris, Gene. Well, didn't they say anything to you about that? No, it was the 70s and through the 80s. We could just there's no need for us to say doctor, because all of us knew that basically everyone had studied, and we respect them. Well, they tell us that we have to say doctor because to acknowledge that to make sure that we acknowledge that they are a professor. If someone is a professor, you don't have to always say their title. You can tell by the demeanor and how they act. Really? Yes. Well, I got a confession to make to both of you. Well, what is it, Linda? Well, in the library, sometimes when I can, I sort of read the Washington Inquirer, National Review, and the Atlantic. Good. Well, that's what you should do. Well, basically, when others see me, though, I sort of feel like I have to hide a magazine in another magazine. Now, come on now. That's almost going back to the time when I went to school and people would read Playboy in between another magazine. But, when I went to campus, you could actually buy Playboy and Playgirl on campus. It was actually considered a rite of passage. Well, on campus now, the only magazine you could really buy is Cosmopolitan in some entertainment magazines. Oh God. Well, I and many basically read Playboy and Arthur C. Clarke and a few others, and also about the social justice issues. Well, yes, when I go on the website, Playboy website now, and when I can find, I do read most of the articles. Well, that's okay. And also you look at the centerfold too. You're normal. Well, what happens though is I'm a Republican, but I'm LGBT. So what? Well, I was told that if you're LGBT, you always have to be a Democrat. No, you don't. There are many LGBT people who are basically Republicans, and the primary reason is once you start working and once you start owning your own business, you realize what it's like to keep a business going. Well, so you mean basically when I complain about my take-home pay being so low because of this high unemployment tax and FICA, that I'm not spouting sour grapes? No. They want to make you think that paying high taxes and getting bad services is okay. You have a right to complain, because in my day FICA was 10%. 10%? Yeah, 10%. And also in my day, even though we were paid basically was considered low minimum wage of $2 an hour, we could still afford an apartment, a car, and also going to college. Well, what does that convert to real today's currency? Good. You've been studying ahead of time. You know the value of currency changes over the years. Well, today basically that $2 an hour would translate to $17 an hour. Well, if people paid everyone $17 an hour at every job in every part of the country, many places couldn't afford to keep going in some parts of the country. I'm glad you said that, because you actually read the National Review and you actually read other magazines. Well, yes, but I'm afraid to say this in front of my classmates, because my classmates would tell the professors I'll be labeled a Republican, and I'm going for my thesis, and I'm afraid my thesis will be rejected because I'm not in the wrong political party. Well, you shouldn't be. You'll have my support. Do you want me to join your thesis advising team? Would you? Yes. Um, okay. Um, what do I need to do? Just come with me after the show, and we'll go down to the chancellor's office, and we'll fill out the necessary paperwork to add me to your thesis team. Well, are you sure the chancellor's not? No, no, no. I have good attorneys, and also they know me. That basically, if they do try to do stuff like that, that they will hear from my attorneys. Great, great. So, what about what should I do about? Should we come out to people that I'm LGBT and Republican? Yes, go ahead. And also, don't be afraid to say that you voted for Trump. It doesn't mean you're an insurrectionist. Well, I see that on the news that they're labeling everyone with a broad brush. Yes, that's right. They're trying to, but there are many people basically who voted for Trump and are peaceful. Right, and that's it. And what about reading those books? Ask, keep on doing it. Ask if they don't have it. Ask the librarian; they'll get it for you. Well, what about speaking up in class? Speak up. Speak up. What happens if someone says something to you? Say something back, and don't be afraid to say the 7 words: fuck, damn, shit, whatever. When something doesn't go right. What do you mean? What do you mean? Basically, not to say those words. If something happens that hurts you, you have a right. You have a right to express pain. I mean, if you hit your thumb with a hammer, are you going to say, "Oh darn," or just something else? No, you're going to express pain because that hurts. Well, right, exactly. But we've been told to act a certain way and such, and um, you gotta do more to basically break away from that conditioning. Well, what about why do they call you yellow snow? Well, I used to be white snow like you were too when I was very young and even as a young professor. But then what happened? I was working on a project. I had a grant. I wanted to expand it to private industry. As soon as I got in private industry, I realized that basically my snow could no longer be pure white because I ran into all the different types of games and other things, the paperwork, other things you have to fill out, and also basically hiring employees, working with employees. So basically, it's very hard to remain sort of a focused a mind with blinders on. So you mean basically the moment we step off campus, we're no longer going to be pure snow. We're going to become yellow snow. Yes, you will, and I'm glad you understand that. But what happens? Enjoy your time on campus. Enjoy what you can do. Take part in the activities. We did video games. We had Doctor Who club. We did other things. Well, we don't even have a club. We don't even have a Doctor Who club. Everything is related to pre-professional. It's business, 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 business. Well, that's horrible. We used to have a time set aside on Wednesday at 1 hour for basically activities, and even on Saturdays in the activities room. What's an activities room? Oh boy, they really commercialized university. Well, the activities room used to be two big lecture rooms where you could plan things. You can watch activities. You could have parties. You could do things like we did the Doctor Who club. And you mean basically you do this on campus? Yeah. And we had a professor that sponsored us. Most of the time sometime he came, sometime he couldn't. So you guys were pretty much left on your own. Yeah, we could do quite a bit, but we practiced responsibility. We cleaned up after ourselves. We made sure the lecture hall was clean. So so you mean they trusted you as adults? You weren't treated like basically you're in an adult high school. Yes, we were treated as adults, and at that time, some of us, the students that were older, actually came back from the Vietnam War, and so they were starting the college, or at least starting the college, when they were later. Well, I was told basically that the Vietnam War, those veterans were they used a certain name. No, they shouldn't have used that. That's veterans that served during that time have a lower rank, especially if they're ranked below a captain, had no ability to question the orders or to disobey, because if they did disobey, they'd either get JAG court or Section 8 or Fort Leavenworth, which means that basically they wouldn't get any Social Security, anything else, and they'd be completely outcast. Our professors didn't tell us that. Well, take a look at the movie Snowden. Yeah, I saw that. I'm afraid to talk about them with my classmates. Well, don't be. Snowden was right when he brought out the second Nuremberg trial that those below a certain rank were not allowed to complain. And even those who senior officers who did complain, like in the movie Billy Jack, in the trial of Billy Jack, were also made to take the fall too, because basically they talked out of school. Well, so you mean basically I'm getting a one-sided opinion on this? Yes, you are. If you want to, I could give you a reading list so you can see see the full spectrum of what happened actually during that period. Well, thank you. Well, one thing when I was reading the National Review, I noticed something that's different compared to other magazines that our professors want us to look in books. You actually read, and the authors actually discussed. They didn't lecture to us. They didn't show pictures. They didn't tell us how to think. The authors go to let us make up our own minds. And that's what an author should do. An author should trust you that you're an adult, that you know how to make your own decisions, and you should be able to make up your own mind. So you mean, basically, when I've been told in class to basically not speak because basically I'm reading too much fake news, there's no such thing as fake news. In the United States, part of our revolution was about freedom of the press, even if it was objectionable. Well, that's not mentioned in my lectures. Well, of course not. Somehow they forgot that. I don't know the reason why, but they did. But in my generation, during the Cold War, especially when there was a divided Berlin, the press was very beneficial in keeping people free, as well as Radio Free America and other places. So you mean back then, even what was considered objectionable was not called fake news or fake media? Exactly. And when you think of fake news, let me ask you a question. When your professors tell you about fake news, what examples do they give you? Well, they always cite the example of Fox News. Okay, well, logically, what do your professors consider Fox News to be? Well, they consider it to be a conservative channel. So then, therefore, by logic, they're saying anything that's conservative is fake news. Well, you're right. Logically, that's what they're implying. But is it? No. The National Review is not fake news. Washington Inquirer is not fake news. Fox News is not fake news. Other conservative stations are not always fake news. Right. Now, what about your other stations that the professors want you to listen to, like MSNBC and CBS and ABC? Well, I try to listen, but sometimes I see it's awful. I sometimes wonder about whether it's slanted a little bit, even with other stations. And so I sometimes pick and choose. But if I feel a newscast, whether it's conservative or non-conservative, is being slanted, I'll change the channel and actually watch Comet. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Well, we watched Doctor Who and Star Trek, and yeah, I like Comet too. Yeah. Well, I'm thanking you helping me come on my shell, because I mean, some of my classmates, they think if they don't speak of this one party line that they won't graduate, they won't get their master's or PhD degrees. No, that's not the purpose of how university should be. Well, what about now? Did you go to school or were you online all year? Well, I was online, and all of us hated it. Well, what was the thing that you hated? Well, we're not supposed to say this because the chancellor doesn't want us to speak up about what's really going on. Well, here it is. They says everything, in every one of us in this video media thing, and there's different companies that do this, but they put 200 of us on this video media thing. Oh my God, yeah, and then trying to get your professor's attention. Yeah. How was that train wreck? Oh, it was worse than a train wreck. We had our computers crash because we had to buy these one computers from a certain company because at one time they were cool, but now I saw on Monday where a website was canceled. Oh boy! So what computer would you rather buy? Well, I'd rather buy a Dell. I mean, because I like running Linux, and Linux is very good for doing this, doing a lot of stuff. But with the 50 to 200 people on this media class, please, it's not working. Yeah, I can understand that because when I went for my graduate degree, I went to a campus, University of Phoenix, and we only had 15 people online, and the 15 and along with a professor who was called a facilitator. And what happens? It was text based, not video, because they realized that not everyone had a fast internet connection or a good internet connection. So you mean back then someone actually thought ahead and actually considered the students? Yes, they did. And the problem why you guys I think are running into this is because they're thinking that basically you have the top of the line of these special company computers, and you guys can't afford that. Yeah, we can't. We can't exactly. Well, can I mention one other thing? Sure, go ahead. Well, Diana and Yellow Snow, I'm being bullied on campus, and whenever I talk with anyone, with the administration or my professors, they say I got to toughen up. They say basically that I have a right to be bullied because I'm LGBT, because I'm M to F, and they say basically I get questions like, "Have you had the operation? Do you still have a penis?" And other. Well, that's not allowed to be done. What I recommend you do is sign up for Legal Shield. What happens? To tell you the truth, let me share something with you. Diana already knows this. I'm M to F as well, and when I first came out, I didn't have Legal Shield, but when I did, it made my transition a lot easier because I'd have people banging on the bathroom door. I'd have people walking by my apartment doors, looking at posters, snickering, and other things like that. Though, so and Legal Shield really helped me because when the attorneys would call back, they would realize they're talking with a top 10 attorney, not someone who's overworked from legal aid. Well, you mean so I have to be one of what they call one of them, those aggressive, no, you don't, and not, you're not being aggressive political. What you are is you're defending your rights. So what do I do to sign up? I'll help. I'll show you after class. It's very easy to do. We can go online, or I can give you a phone number of a friend to call who works for Legal Shield. So you mean basically I have a right not to be bullied and other stuff? Yes. Well, how does it feel when you make it? Well, sometimes it's very hard because my parents taught me to walk away and also to be peaceful because they also believed in nonviolent lifestyle. That's good, but I can understand how it could cause pent up frustration. But like your parents probably told you, don't go down to their level. Right, I haven't, but sometimes it's very tough. Well, if you have to, sometimes just excuse yourself, go into the bathroom, sit in the bathroom for a little bit to collect your thoughts. That's good. That's a good idea. The other thing, though, is basically if your professors still try to shut you down and say, "Well, you're not tough enough," that they're going through a phase. Just remember, take a look at this cartoon on YouTube, Foaming the Score, what he said about bullying. You have a right not to be bullied, and also with the professors, just tell them if they continue to bully, you'll call Legal Shield, and you'll have their attorneys call the campus. Wow, that easy? Yeah, that easy. And also you can wear what you want to wear. You don't always have to dress like them. You are you. Oh my God, thank you. I wish I would have met you sooner. Well, I'm always here, but just remember though, basically, don't be afraid to talk to us Yellow Snow Republican professors. We don't bite. There's a reason why we used to be Democrats, why we became Republicans. Well, can you tell? Well, that's another time. But the main thing is, speak confidently, believe in who you are, and also just if someone always tries to shut you down, say, "I was speaking," and also don't do what they do. Don't badger, don't interrupt them. And the other thing, if someone tries to shut you down, say, I didn't interrupt you when you were speaking. I expect you not to interrupt me. You mean I can say that even to my professor? Yes, you can. You have a right to. You're an adult. You're a student. You're in a university. Really? Yes. So just do it. Just do it. And if you have questions, contact Diana and I. We'll be glad to help out, or even sometimes come on campus with you if you need to. More support. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Well, I gotta go help my parents with something. So I'll talk with you later. Well, it's nice talking with you, Linda. And what happens? We hope we'd like to invite you back. I'll be back soon. Well, what do you think, Professor Sarah, about Linda? Well, I'm glad we had a chance to talk with her. I'm finally glad she's able to come out of her shell. And what I would say is basically, don't be afraid to talk to the so-called professors that are basically on the rumor list of not talking to. Those are some of the most useful professors you can talk to. And sometimes the best way is you don't always have to go up to the office. If you see them in the hallway, when I went to school, the chancellor would actually walk the hallways and he'd actually talk with the students. We didn't have to make an appointment. Or at the lunchroom, he'd stop by and say, how are things going? How are things? And sometimes we'd even have lunch with them as well. So don't think you always have to go up to the power tower or always go up to the chancellor's office or your professor's office. But the main thing is try to talk with as many people as you can. That's what the purpose of a university and college is for, is to meet people and learn. And when someone tries to tell you, well, don't read this because this is fake news, or tries to close your mind, think very hard. And also, so read some of the stuff that they say, well, will close your mind. Just make your own decisions. You're an adult, do it. Well, I think that's good. I think that's good advice, Professor Sarah. And I'd like to thank you for coming on the show as well. So I understand you have an appointment to run to. So well, when we do the next podcast, I'll give you and Linda a call. Well, thanks again for inviting me. And for Ideas with Diana, what I would like to, our website is on Twitter at Diana1A. And I prefer to receive emails that way because it's easier for me. And with this thing on bowling, with basically Linda the student and Professor and Sarah the professor, the point about this is bowling can exist in many types of forms: political, social. What types of books you read, what types of books you don't read, what type of magazines, what type of TV shows. How you treat on campus. When you walk to a table, do people walk away? Or do you feel that a professor will grade you lower because basically you don't have his or her political belief? Well, the first thing to do is, if you feel that basically a professor is grading you due to politics, look up who are your board of regents for your university and file a complaint. I had to do it when I was in pre-med. Other people had to do it. And when people are bowing you and when they see a poster and they snicker outside your door or something, just say, look, I am who I am. I'm female. Regardless of what your opinion is, you're not my keeper. You're not God. And you have a right to believe what you want to believe, and also a right to vote. And because you voted Republican doesn't mean that you're an insurgent, as some of the news media is trying to make out. There are many people who voted for Trump who are peaceful. So just remember, don't be blindsided by basically rhetoric or manipulative philosophy. Know the facts, read. Decide for yourself. And also read articles that treat you as an adult, that put the facts out there and let you decide, that don't lecture to you and don't dictate to you. Well, let me know what you think. And our next podcast, I think, will be in either 1 week from now or 2 weeks from now. So this has been Ideas with Diana, and you can reach us on Twitter at Diana1A. Thanks again.